Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron. I hope you're having a great day or night in Jesus. I've been doing some videos on Christian evidence. Teach a class on that at Indiana Bible College, and archaeology evidence, historical evidences, and that type thing. But there's some amazing other evidences as well, like design and nature, design of the human body, symbiosis, the dependence of everything upon everything else, schematic specificness, everything's just exactly the way it needs to be, the anthropic principle and the design principle, these type things. So we're going to look at consciousness today, and consciousness is just being able to think, and that's a bigger thing than you might think. Hey, I do want to say thanks for being here. Check out our other videos and our Biblical Archaeology Today podcast with Steve Waldron on Spotify and some other places as well. Got about 1,600 podcasts showing the primacy and historical relevancy and accuracy of the scriptures. So consciousness, okay, let's say evolution is true, which I don't believe it is. We won't go into adaptability and microevolution, but I'm talking about macroevolution. How did things just begin to think and become aware? Because is this inherent in life? First one-celled organism, do they have consciousness? And so it's just this real big deal about first of all, where did life develop? That's the Miller-Urey experiments that have been really debunked, especially by Wells in his Icons of Evolution. But then consciousness beyond that, the ability to think. And then once you get past consciousness, the ability to process information in a cogent way. And why is beauty beauty? Why is beauty beautiful? We could argue environmental factors and that type of thing, but just thinking in general, consciousness, being aware, that's a huge, huge deal, and is a step beyond just life itself, most would think. And truth, what is truth? That which corresponds with the reality is the traditional definition of truth. And so how do things perceive truth? And where does error come from? Why are we hardwired to believe error? Was it Mark Twain who said, Samuel Clemens, that error will go around the world, or a lie will go around the world before truth can get its boots on? So if we have the ability to discern truth, now we would say from biblical anthropology, biblical sociology, biblical psychology, it's because mankind is created in the image of God and can dwell in the realms of truth. But then you get into the spiritual realm of man's sinful nature, not necessarily spiritual, but demons, and then angels, truth, the Spirit of God, the Word of truth, objective reality. And again, how do people have the ability to be deceived into not believing truth? And all these are things that are extraordinarily difficult when you just have primordial soup, and beyond that, the singularity that explodes by mechanisms that don't know how, to get from point A to point B, and taking it step by step requires a ton of faith because the evidence isn't there. There's spotty pseudo evidence that, if you look at something, take this for example, it's kind of on the subject we were talking about, truth and error, and this was the fallacy of the Pharisees, that let's say somebody puts in your mind and says, this person is a gossip or something, and you've never noticed it before, but then you're like, okay, I'm going to really begin noticing that, and you zero in on their personality. Well, all of a sudden, because you're a hammer, everything that person does begins to look like a nail. You go, yeah, and that happens a lot. People that make insinuations, let's say against the pastor at a church, and somebody's like, well, I've never seen that before. You just look and notice it, and then so everything they do behind the pulpit, they'll be worshiping God. Yeah, they're really just showing off. That's showing spiritual dominance there, and they really are lords over God's heritage when it really doesn't exist at all. So there is that. I've got written in my notes things about the metaverse, but it's pretty much dead, I guess. And AI would be more of a thing. And Hell is an interesting thing, you know. A lot of people say they don't believe in God because of hell. I remember that book, The World's Most Notorious Atheist Believes in God. And Habermas and he had done a series of debates. And so finally he just said, okay, there has to be a God. And so, but he's like, man, I can't believe in the Christian God just because of hell. And that's known that, and why is there evil in the world, theodicy, and this is justification of God against the charges of evil. The thing is you constantly, Nietzsche saw this, that atheists kept using, and secularists kept using Christian definitions and assumptions that you can't use. And even so, I disagree a lot. Nietzsche said, especially his conclusions, that he did have some salient insights, as did Foucault and Derrida as well, that there's something in us that just assumes things are evil and good. And I would say that comes from being an image of God. So we're going to stop there today. Check out our other videos. Check out our playlist. We'll talk with you later. God bless you. Bye-bye.